Now, some pretty simple comments about objectives, and I highly recommend to just take a separate little notebook and just start writing down, and it may take you a little bit of time to evolve into what you want to do, and let's just hope that you're healthy long enough to finish what you originally planned to do, which was get your estate plan and your will done. But some of the key objectives. If you become sick, so you need kind of like a living will or a power of attorney. These are complicated issues that you really need to get advice on. This is not a joke. That I remember reading an article where someone had power of attorney. Somebody went into hospital for a heart operation, came out and their house was sold and the person was trying to leave the country. They caught them at the airport. Power of attorney and living will, these are serious matters that you really need to pay some attention to and do some work. Maybe you may want to have what would be called a limited power of attorney, but that's another day in a different video. So if you have young kids, you want to make sure that the household's going to be able to be managed. There's going to be enough cash there. These issues get complicated, so let's assume you have $200,000 and you were expecting maybe you're going to get 10% return in the stock market. Along comes the 2008 stock market crash. Your money has dropped by 50%. So again, whatever you think conservative. If you're thinking you want to get 10, plan for 4 or 5. Because then if you get 10, that's a bonus. Always better to plan for the worst case scenario and not plan for the best case, because things don't always work out the way that you want. You want to have liquidity to pay off debts. You would even like to go further and have the people that owe you pay you off also. And if nobody knows who they are and if there's no paperwork to back it up, it's kind of like the joke where Joe says to his friend, "Oh, that's too bad. I heard that Frank passed away." And the friend goes, "Oh, wow, that's really too bad." On the other hand, because he owes him money, but if nobody knows, debts aren't going to be paid. So you want to keep a really detailed list of all the people that you owe. That's a joke, but don't keep that list. I'm kidding. Of course you will. You want to make reference to all documents that will support those debts, and neither a borrower nor a lender B will make your life a whole lot simpler. And beyond that, you want to make a list of all the people that owe you and have some support documents for that. You've got tax issues that have to be dealt with. By the way, one of the things that we'll probably cover when we get to executor duties, final tax returns must be filed. Your estate will not be given approval for distribution of assets until you have, when I get to that topic, I'll tell you what the technical name is, but you have to get a letter of approval from the government that things have been filed, because I would assume the Canadian government, through the tax department, Canadian Revenue and Tax Agency, that they will go through all the years that you were in Canada and make sure that all returns were filed. If not, they're going to make sure that these get filed and your estate can be held up because of this. It takes quite some time to get money out of an estate. This is not where you file a few papers and somebody stamps it and you just go take the money. I think when I was doing the H&R Block tax course that I always remembered as being odd. On deductions page, your first cycle is you put down your income, the second you have your deductions. Safety deposit box was a deduction, and it was only like $15, $20 a year you would pay, and I thought, well, isn't that odd that the government would give people a deduction for a safety deposit box? Well, the fact of the matter is you've now told them that you have one, and they are locked, and no one has access to that box without a court order, and they will want to know what is actually in there. And if you have a safety deposit box, I mean, you're not putting your bank statements in there, so like cut the crap. Maybe it's some gold bars or some extra cash that you got that nobody knows about, so that's going to come and the light of day will be shone upon that. That may have to be taxed at the end of the day. Some other issues are people that you might be supporting for school. You may want to maintain that support from your estate. You may want to have some assets converted into cash and put into the estate to be distributed equally among kids. You may have your own kids or grandkids that are in school, and so you need to understand how much is going to be the cost, how much of that you're going to pay, is there enough cash in your estate. This is where life insurance can play a very key role. A lot of people tend to have things in their estate, but they may be like real things. They're not actually liquid cash items. And having a good term policy or whatever kind of policy you buy, obviously term is going to be the cheapest one that you can buy. That's liquid cash, that's tax-free, it's there, and it's going to help the estate kind of handle whatever it is supposed to handle. One of the big concerns is people may have more things in their estate than they have the ability to actually pay. This could be an entirely separate issue. If you have a list of people that you want to leave money to, and let's say there's 5 people on the list, just make sure my name is there, okay? Who gets the money first? And I remember reading a story about a case where there was several people listed as beneficiaries. One of them was a charity. The charity filed suit to make sure they got their money, because they have legal staff that, that's their job to handle whatever those little problems are that come up. So if you have a list of people, make a list of priority, and let's say it's 50,000 to one, 20,000 to another, and say who gets paid first. So if your estate runs out of cash at the end when all is said and done, then the one at the bottom of the list may not get anything, but that it was there and it's documented, so you're not going to have a problem with that. One of the big problems that I find people that do estate planning is, I leave my money to Sally, just as an example. Well, what money are you talking about? My bank account. Well, what bank account? Where is it? What's the bank account number? What's the transit number? So be as detailed as you can. Try to maybe work on the assumption that you're making your estate plan for a 5-year-old. Oh, a bank in Toronto. Well, for a 5-year-old, that's not good enough. Young and Bloor. Well, okay, now that's a little bit more accurate. CIBC or TD. So try to be as simple. You don't have to use flashy language. Now, of course, when you get a final will from a lawyer, you'll probably have to get an interpreter to read it, because they generally don't write anything in English. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. But when you're doing your estate plan, clearly you can make your wishes relatively simple and straightforward, that if anyone was to find it, then they would have a pretty good idea. But then you need to put those written thoughts to a legal document. Another funny issue that might easily, and I'm sure it's come up many times, there was this rich guy, and he's sitting with his lawyer, and the lawyer's going, okay, we need to leave some money for the kids. How many children do you have? And he said, well, actually, sir, we don't know that yet. We'll have to wait until the will is contested. So I think you kind of get the point with that. The kids can just pop out of the woodwork, and you just don't know where they came from.